Joining us now is Joe Siracusa. He is a U.S. political analyst in Melbourne. Joe, always good to have you on the show. In retrospect, I mean, this decision was years in the making. It's not just former President Donald Trump appointing 3 conservative judges. I mean, over the years, you've had things like more state regulation throughout pregnancy. You've made it tougher or the country has made it tougher, especially for poor women, to get access to abortion.
Yes, poorer women, women of color, have always had trouble getting access to abortion. I was in my late 20s when the Roe v. Wade was ruled on, and what people don't seem to realize that in giving women a constitutional right to have an abortion or to terminate their pregnancy, the United States Supreme Court also decriminalized abortion. There were a lot of bad actors in those days, so it empowered a great many people. Now, the baby boomers who came of age in the 1960s, about 27 million women, 27 million men, they look forward to this kind of thing. And keep in mind that public opinion, the Gallup poll, 5 months before Roe v. Wade was announced in January 1973, 64% of the American people agreed that a woman's right to terminate her pregnancy was a private matter between her and her doctor. And that included 59% Catholics. So public opinion was well on this side. The decision today, and there's a warning by the liberal justices in the Supreme Court that there might be a bigger fish to fry than this, is that women don't have this particular right anymore. It will become a serious crime, and that these conservatives may be going after other issues such as same-sex marriage and the like. So there could be other things down the road. But the point is that American women and men got very used to this right for 50 years. It was considered off the table. In fact, a number of the justices who were interviewed last year or a couple of years ago made it very plain that this was settled law. They weren't going after it. And the fact that they have gone after it has surprised a lot of people. You know, if there's a reason for this, I was thinking about it all day since I've lived this thing through my lifetime. If Ruth Ginsburg had only retired when she was supposed to, and they would have appointed a liberal justice, this would never have come to pass. So, there's a whole lot of reasons for this, and you can't blame Donald Trump for this, as a matter of fact. There are a whole lot of actors in this. But, it's an important issue. It's states will now start to ban abortion. Women will be forced to go elsewhere. And, of course, we got women now in the armed forces who will no longer have access to things. And back in the day when people had to go across the border to Mexico to get an abortion, there were some very unhappy results. So this is a major cultural issue, which adds to the other cultural issues. And I'll tell you what, I can't imagine anything more divisive than something like this at a time of intense inflation, a troubled economy, a war in Europe. I mean, Americans don't need this kind of distraction. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court, by arguing that the founding fathers made no express reference to abortion, therefore, this is a matter for the states, seems ridiculous to me, because 50 years ago, it was settled on the issue that it was privacy. So there's a lot of mischief going on right now, and I think Americans are going to be sore as hell at their Supreme Court for a while.
Joe, you said this is a distraction, but I'm wondering, how much this Supreme Court ruling will actually play into the minds of voters when they go to the polls in the upcoming midterm elections.
Well, I think it won't play as much as we imagine it will. This is not a left-right issue. This is not a Democrat-Republican issue. They're all hues of Democrats, and they're all hues of Republicans and other people. I mean, it's not a simple issue about sending people to the polls, because this is an issue right across the board for Americans. It's a private issue, and so it's not a public issue. And so I don't think it's going to affect very much. What the Democrats, of course, who have no control over this, what they want is to see a Democratic-controlled Congress, that's a House and Senate, so they can pass law codifying the right of a woman to have an abortion in her first trimester and that kind of thing. But that's not going to happen. But I don't think it's going to affect politics as much as people do imagine, because it's not a straightforward issue. It's a privacy. It's a conscience issue. Oh. And so therefore, Americans on all sides have very strong and different views on this subject.
Joe Siracusa, I always enjoy talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World.
Okay. Thank you, sir.